abstract that I submitted previously. So this is, I mean, I'm gonna go over a whole slide. So I write background a little bit, and then I'm still working on the background, but I had meeting with Lunit. So I spoke with Dr. Cho about how they developed the Lunit scope. So it kind of like I understood how they developed the unit scope, and then we made slide. I mean, actually, Dr. Oak gave me this slide, and then the first slide. So this is kind of like results for our research. So I put survival outcome over here. So I didn't put the which graph is MSI high or MSS, but this is total, and middle one is some MSI high group, and then the last one is about MSS group. So it showed statistical significance about the overall survival. I did immune landscape, so it's pretty. It looks kind of like interesting. So red one is inflamed group, and green one is excluded group, and blue one is desert group. So it showed statistical significance regarding PDL1 and IDO1 and LEC3 and VISTA. And it showed statistical significance in cytolytic score. After that, I was thinking doing mutational landscape as well, but it kind of like hard time to analyze. I draw waterfall plot. So for now, I only include TMB. I divide into total and MSI high group and MSS group. So TMB is known as a companion diagnostic for immune checkpoint inhibitor in endometrial cancer. So and then I did some analysis about mutational count and neoantigen, and especially SMB neoantigen as well. But I'm not sure about the results. So it looks like there is some statistical significance, but when I did the statistical test, it turns out non-significant. So, but I'm gonna double check about this.
So tell me the difference between neoantigen and SMB neoantigen.
So I think SMB neoantigen include in neoantigen. So, but yeah. So I'm kind of like working on it, but so there is a report. SMB neoantigen. I need time to.
Dr. Cho, do you know the difference?
No, I'm not aware of SMB and neoantigen.
Okay, so my guess is, single nucleotide variant neoantigen. So there are others like, deletion, insertion, frame shift. Some are fusion even. So yeah, but still majority are SND. But you know, I guess the trend is still there, but yeah, well, at the end of the day, I don't think it means much, but
I think I can update these results. I think yeah, I think it may be wrong. So
okay, just double check.
yeah. And then I did I check immune cell infiltration by using CyberSort. So yeah, so as we expected, CD8 T cell is higher in the inflamed group compared to other groups. CD4 memory T cell as well, and other T cell also. And then, yeah, so this is immune cell infiltration. So there's some difference between the immune subtype regarding macrophage as well. Lastly, I included enrichment analysis. So red one indicates inflamed group, and green one indicates the excluded group, and the blue one indicates desert group. So I think this results looks pretty similar to our previous research regarding lung cancer. So this is not, yeah, this is kind of like relative value. I mean, gene expression compared between two group, inflamed versus exclude, or inflamed versus excluded, something like that. So
If you look, just present like this, people are gonna have hard time reading it.
yeah. So I'm gonna make some change. Yeah. So
Yeah, maybe a couple sentences that writes what pathways are generally activated.
Yeah.
The top three pathways activated on this versus this. Just write it out in bold letters in sentence so that people know what the take-home message is.
Okay.
Okay.
I have one question, Dr. Choi. Is there any inhibitory immune checkpoint proteins?
Oh, yeah, I can include the results. So yeah, so I checked
TING3.
the biome. I mean, I checked the same thing that you guys did in the previous study. So yeah, I can include the results. So they all showed statistical significance. So yeah.
I think we have to arrange the graphs that could show better to the audience, and
yeah,
the results are very interesting. Very good.
So I uploaded the Google slide, so I'm going to share to you.
Yeah, so our learning team could also give you feedback and make some arrangements.
Dr. Che, so the AACR want me to give some question, I mean, regarding our study. So usually the chair encourage the audience to ask some questions. So they want me to give some example question to the chair. So
Oh, to the chair?
yeah, the present. I think I don't know the
In case the audience have no questions, that they want the backup questions for.
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, I think I have to prepare. I mean, I have to give them 2 or 3 questions. So
that's so funny. That's
yeah,
good job. Come on, the chair.
so it's hard to come up with the question. So yeah,
Well, I can give you a couple, but yeah, go to the conclusion. Let me see. So I would say if you want to say inflamed, you put quotation mark or inflamed class inflamed. What do you call inflamed type? What did you use? Subtype? Inflamed. What does Lunit call inflamed group? Do you say, yeah, just inflamed group, right? Group. So in most sentence and in most slide, I want you to always say endometrial cancer.
yeah,
In endometrial cancer,
yeah.
claim demonstrate better clinical outcome in endometrial cancer. MSS endometrial cancer. Or I mean, if you want to write UC, that's fine too. But
Yeah.
also all the graphs, you have to say infiltrates in endometrial cancer, okay? So that, you know, that's, I mean, it is clear, but that's the whole point.
And I have a question. So Dr. Che, do you think it's better to include the survival analysis between inflamed versus other group?
Inflame versus others.
Yeah.
No, I think this
And do you want me to put in the hazard ratio as well?
I think for the PowerPoint slide, it's okay. To
Okay.
leave it. Yeah. Yeah. I think putting hazard ratio is important.
Okay.
But you have to.
I already have the results. So yeah, I did Cox regression. So
Yeah, but what's the reference? What versus what did you get?
yeah, inflamed group was a reference group.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Go to the first slide. Okay. So you have background. Okay. Go down.
So I mean, I would like put some sentence about our previous study, or yeah. So
Yeah. I mean, you can say in lung cancer or other cancer types what has been described.
yeah.
And you can summarize Dr. Jong-an Park's paper here too. We found this, and now you can cite JCO paper. Just
Oh, yeah.
that in lung cancer, with immunotherapy, it correlated with such and such. So that's a very important background information.
And Dr. Charles send me the article. So
You have it, right?
yeah.
PTO, yeah. Okay, so go down.
So yeah, I try to read review article about the biomarker. So their predictive value and prognostic value, but I think FDA approved the NCCN guideline include TMB high group and MSI high and DMMR group as a companion diagnostic for immunotherapy. I think I can. I think we can call it predictive biomarker. So, but regarding the prognostic value, there's no universal consensus about the TMB high group. So, I mean, the reason why I research about this, our finding the subgroup is kind of like associated with the tumor infiltrating lymphocyte. So, and I think we may use these results to design a clinical trial to see if immunotherapy is beneficial endometrial cancer with inflamed group or yeah. So, but I'm still, yeah, I'm working on it, but I don't have much time on this. So
yeah, I think you can take out the prognostic value. Just work on, just say FDA approved indication. So you can do PD-L1, positive. There are, but it depends on what tumor type.
yeah, so
Like a head and neck positive pembro only, So there's so many of those, but
yeah.
still you can still summarize those PD-L1, and some are approved regardless of PD-L1, but still, then as a biomarker, it doesn't mean much. So you could say, what drugs are approved in PD-L1 positive tumors and what are those histologies? You can summarize them as you've done. And then till there's nothing. So I think the future is going to be, Lunit AI scope is likely to be the first test to use TIL as a predictive biomarker for immunotherapy response. And what I'm trying to do in my lab is to design a clinical trial using different PD-1 inhibitors to design a prospective Lunitscope-based trial, because that's what's ultimately going to change clinical practice. So you can make such statement that till there's no consensus platform, and it's not FDA approved biomarker yet, and the role of TIL the role of AI in assessing TIL in many other tumor types other than lung cancer, need to be explored. Therefore, something like that could be a nice background. Next. Yeah.
This is just the slide that I mean.
Yeah, PD-L1 inhibitor is approved for so many things now, so you have to write that. So just, it's like PD-L1, you could say in endometrial cancer, lenvatinib plus pembrolizumab is approved. So immunotherapy is being utilized in endometrial cancer. So I think you should write that one. And then in MSI high, what are the tumor immunotherapy that are approved for that type? You should, mention that.
Yeah. So there is a immune checkpoint inhibitor that is approved in MSI high group in NCCN guidelines. So,
Okay, next. Okay, next. So all these slides should have some word about endometrial cancer, okay?
Yeah.
Next. So if there's any slide that you want to highlight, like T-cell, sometimes you highlight it with like the red bar box or something. You click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think So
Yeah.
T cell probably.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So last slide. So here are the questions. So a lot of people. So when you go to meeting and you feel like, oh, I want to come up with some question. I want to show to the audience that I'm here and I'm asking question. I want to show them my presence, that I know something. What's the easiest question? Future. Okay, ask them about the future. So what do you think the future is going to be utilizing TIL AI platform? What do you think this is going to be a real practice in near future? Like, and then how soon? These are very basic questions. Like, any new finding? Do you think this is going to be our new future? When is that future coming? It's easy thought, but that's it's a question that everyone likes. Okay, so you can ask that question to yourself. How I would answer it is that yes, this is a future. It is going to come. We believe in this truth. But we cannot rely on pathologists to say what's TIL, what's not TIL, and there's a lot of interpathologist variation and all that, but AI is proven to be better accurate measurement, and it has proven to correlate with patient outcome, even patient with getting immunotherapy in non-cancer patient, published in this month JCO. So it is a coming future, and I think it will be approved in likely lung first, but endometrial, we have a strong biomarker, which is MS high. However, MSS, some patient would still respond to immunotherapy. And who would that be? I think TIL test will be able to pick out those patients. And then one might argue people can use Pembro plus Lenvima for all patients regardless of biomarker. Why are you doing this? Then that's the second question, okay? Second question is, well, Pembro is already approved regardless of biomarker. Why do you need to study biomarker in endometrial cancer? Your answer is gonna be, well, Some people simply don't respond to that treatment. Some people develop acquired resistance to it. And who are this group? Is it immune excluded group? Is it immune inflamed group, or just simply desert group? And what can we do to overcome those initial refractoriness or acquired resistance? Our approach is going to be very different based on what type they have. If it's immune inflamed, you might want to add some more immune checkpoint inhibitor to just rev up the inflammation. If it's immune excluded, you might want to use something like bevacizumab, something that can bring lymphocytes from the other lymph nodes, recruit them. If it's simply desert, you might want to give sting agonist or some sort of cancer vaccine that can ignite fire rather than bring fire from somewhere else, because there's no fire existing. So you could, you could, and then by only learning the different mechanisms and different subgroups, you can come up with a better combination treatment tailored to each group. Okay, so that's your question right there. Answer and question. So this, see what I'm doing here. This is a clinical thought training. And then another question could be, what is the relationship between MSI high, TMB, PD-L1, and TIL? This is a fundamental question. Your answer is gonna be, well, they're gonna be related, but surprisingly, a lot of times they can be orthogonal. Orthogonal means perpendicular. Perpendicular means can be independent of each other. You could have high TIL but low TMB. You can have low TMB but high TIL. So it doesn't always correlate. And that's the beauty of it. We don't want to miss anything by using just one marker. So the future is going to be, this is what we wrote in all our AI paper. The future is going to be, we're going to utilize AI in giving weight to all the biomarkers and come up with a integrated score, okay? And we're going to incorporate all biomarkers, but not only all pathologic biomarkers, but also radiomic biomarkers, clinical biomarkers, in all possible dimensions, and really comprehensively assess patients' prediction model in response to therapy. So that's the third question. All right, so a lot of thinking going on, but we are recording this, so Hoodin, you can watch it later when you're more awake, and maybe write a script based on it. So yeah, there. But remember the future question. If you go to any meeting, you want to ask questions, go up. What do you think the future is gonna be on that technology? So simple. You can come up with this question anytime for any topic, but it's a question that everyone wants to hear the answer. Okay. All right. Anything else, Horyun?
So I think we can start manuscript. So yeah. So I got all the results. So yeah.
Oh yeah. So the things that I told you
Yeah.
are really good, like material for your paragraph in the discussion of the manuscript. You know, why do we need to develop biomarker in endometrial cancer? You know, what is the future going to be? Why do you need to group it in endometrial cancer where there's pembrolizumab, which is being used regardless of biomarker? People are going to ask that question, and you need a good answer for that in your discussion in your manuscript. Okay. All right. Yeah. Keep working. You know, I mean, it's really great that we got oral presentation. So again, congrats. Yeah, it's going to be a big plus when you apply for fellowship, you know, a resident doing an oral presentation in a national, this is almost like international cancer meeting, is a big deal. Not even Hemong fellows, they graduate never doing oral presentation. Okay, so this is a big achievement. So yeah, take it seriously. And yeah, the other point is, yeah, we need to publish.
Yeah.
Publication is the final currency in
Yeah.
academia.
And then after I finish the manuscript, I would like participate in other, yeah.
Yeah,
project.
yeah, show it to us when you're you know, final stage. Okay. Oh,
Thank you.
so yeah, and then when you uh when you present, you know, make a habit of doing it on Google Doc first, and then later final right before, you know, write it in the word. I mean, I prefer that. And there's a program called Zotero, which, you know, I'm learning to Zotero.
Yeah, I know the.
Yeah, it's compatible with Word and Google Doc both, so it's really good. Okay, thank you, Horyun.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Okay, Peter, do you have any update?
Any updates? Well, it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 months in Lunit.
Oh,
Yeah, and I think I just got to know how the company works, and it feels like home to me now, but I have to leave a few months later, so that's that. But yeah, being in Lunit, they are doing a lot of research programs and clinical trials with a lot of pharmacology company and other institutions as well. And it was a great opportunity to experience how it works. And Dr. Oak, I think he's a Superman. He's doing everything by himself. And I don't know how he organized all those projects. And yeah, there are so many people who are working and developing the AI. There are AI team who focus on developing on AI, and there's a data management team that collects the whole slide image and scans it to digital pathology, digitalize it, and like also product manager team, they organize all the projects, and there's clinical research team who organize the clinical trials and all those things. And it's at first it was hard to know which team does what, but now I get it. And yeah, well, one thing I could really share about in terms of research, I have submitted an abstract in ASCO. It was, so this, I think this is very interesting because it's about neuroendocrine tumor, which you have recently published in JCO, or I couldn't remember, but that the swap.
Do you have an abstract that you can share on screen?
Oh, sure.
So Horyun, you can unshare yours.
Let me see. oh. This is the abstract, and we are writing the manuscript. So what was interesting is that in your clinical trial, the SWOC 1609, the high grade neuroendocrine neoplasm was effective to dual immunotherapy. I believe it was ipi-nivo. And that was very interesting. And we we gathered, it will be best to gather the slides that the SWOC team did, but I think there's a lot of conflict of interest, and it's really hard. We gathered 240 H&E stain slides from RG University, which was diagnosed with neuroendocrine neoplasm, and we ran Lunoscope IO, and we compared the low grade, non-high grade, I guess, non-high grade and high grade NENs, and the result was that high grade NEN showed higher intratumoral TIL density. So that means, I think that's very interesting result, because that high grade, only high grade was effective for the dual immunotherapy. And maybe our TIL density could be one candidate for biomarker to ICI immunotherapy outcome. So, no. Well, to visualize, I have slides to.
Yeah, if you have a graph.
Yeah, this is the result. So unfortunately, there were not many high-grade samples, but however, we could see the tendency here that the total intratumoral cancer, intratumoral TIL density was higher in high grade. So that's a very great positive sign that the Lunoscope IO. And we saw categorized in primary origin, and lung was the highest, median highest. Yeah. So this wouldn't be a original article. We are targeting for commentary in JCOPO. We are just writing up the manuscript. So yeah, waiting for the IRB from RG University approval. Yeah, it's quite a short result, but very meaningful.
Nice. So you're the project lead and the first author for this one?
Yes.
Wow. Congrats. So you're coming, is this ASCO?
ASCO, but I don't know if my abstract will be accepted.
Oh,
so
if it's accepted, are you coming to ASCO?
Yeah, I wish, but I have to see. It's my hope, but yeah.
All right.
So this ASCO Lunit submitted 9 abstracts. So, and I heard that acceptance rates is really low in ASCO, like around 20%. So we'll see how it works.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully you'll get something. But yeah, good. So this TIL has utility in a lot of different tumor types, and neuroendocrine is high unmet need. So thank you. Thank you for presenting this. Yeah, keep us updated on your progress and yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, Minjong, I know you're in Korea. Do you have update for us?
Oh, yep, I do. I'll share my screen. I'll first sorry. I'll first share the link for the abstract to be submitted to World Bank.
Yes.
Actually, I'll stop sharing so that maybe you can.
Yeah, I can, you put in the chat
Mhm.
box. Yeah. The request access.
Oh no, sorry.
Again.
I changed the access.
Okay. So are you done getting all like data from the institutions? I know some will be busy, but you done with
Mhm.
that process?
So I've done everything that I need to in terms of contacting authors where we need clarification or more information. I'll share the manuscript after this, but I think I'll just go ahead with the pre-submission and submission process. And if authors contact us additionally, then I'll just update the data then.
Okay. So meta-analysis on hyperprogressive disease instance following immunotherapy across tumor types and definitions. So I would say, we said tumor types and definitions. I know it's just hyperprogressive definition, but maybe you could put, is it, how can I edit on here? Interesting. Request edit access. So I would put H.
Okay, it's been changed.
Can I edit now?
Mhm.
Or do I have to refresh? Maybe I'll refresh. I still can't edit. Can you give me editing access?
I gave editing access to anyone with the link. So
Oh,
should I reshare the link or?
no. Thank you. No, I can't. So I put hyper progressive disease here.
Mhm.
And then hyper progressive definitions. Something like that.
Okay.
And then because we use HPD here,
Mhm.
then you don't need here.
Mhm.
So you got all the studies until February 7th?
Mhm.
And ACR, World Long allows one figure?
It allows up to 2 figures, except each figure counts as 100 words,
Okay.
and a total of 500 words are allowed. I have a total of 492 words, including one figure.
So you gotta cut down?
No, it's exact. I have 8 words less than.
Oh, okay, 500 with figure, okay.
Right.
This is the figure?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, so it's increased. I thought it was, well, no. I think, what was it before? Was it 13? 13%
It's pretty similar.
similar across.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, I think the Northwestern data was 30%.
Mm.
Gastric was the highest, lowest was renal. Instant, well, so do you think this is better? Or just maybe use the, kinetics or growth rate, whatever term they used. Maybe you don't have room for that?
Oh, you mean like TGK or TGR?
Yeah,
I can do that. It's mhm.
because people have to like they don't memorize what that was. Maybe just like the growth, growth ratio model or whatever term that was commonly used, put that in
Mhm.
parentheses, in quotation mark, and then still you can put this in parentheses as a reference paper for that.
Okay. It's just that when I first added it, I was over the word limit, so I just changed it to the author names, but I'll change it back.
Yeah. So there's a trend. Can be observed not only across definitions, but also across tumor types. Further studies will work to better predictive factors can be identified, and ultimately a prompt recognition can take place in the clinic. Yeah. So I guess for the manuscripts, there are a few, paragraphs, talking about predictive factors, right? Not this one, but actual manuscript, right?
I'll be mentioning it. But because of the way we changed our analysis method,
Hmm.
it will be more like a systematic review,
Mhm.
where I'll just touch on a couple of predictive factors instead of going through factors for all of the publications.
Which is fine. So yeah, Minjung, give us update on the figure. What has changed after you got more data, all that. So I'll just put it.
So now may I share the screen?
Sure. Stop share.
So I forgot to turn on my video. I'm sorry. I did it last time too. Hello. I'll share my screen. So after I gave the update last time, where I updated all the articles until February 7th, when I ran the analysis again, the results were kind of subpar to what we had before, because there were only 2 publications for renal cell carcinoma, 2 publications for melanoma. And in order to do a subgroup analysis, you need at least 3 publications. So what happened afterwards was I went back to our screening process. And before we disregarded all conference abstracts, but I ended up going through all 240 to gather more data. So we added 1 more study with renal cell carcinoma and 1 more study with melanoma. And then afterwards, when I reran the analysis, it was similar to what we had before we did the recategorization, but the results were much more robust. I'll share. Now I shared the link to the manuscript. But I can, for now, show it on my screen here. So this is the force plot that's in the conference abstract. And so the results are not that much different, but you can see that the dashed line represents the average, and it's clearly high for head and neck squamous cell cancer and advanced gastric cancer. It's slightly higher for hepatocellular carcinoma. And then
Can you compare gastric and head and neck? Which is higher?
actually head and neck is higher. I need to update that in the conference abstract.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but then there's a caveat to both head and neck squamous cell cancer and hepatocellular carcinoma, which I'll share in a little bit.
So why do you think that is? In the manuscript, we're gonna have to discuss why these 2 subtypes so different than other.
Right. In terms of the advanced gastric carcinoma group, all 3 groups here are from Japan. And I don't think all of them mentioned MSI stability, but there was MMR status was mentioned in 2 of the papers, and a majority of the study population had basically high instability. And I think
Why was that? They enriched MSI high?
Pardon?
They enriched for MSI high?
Right.
On purpose, maybe.
I'm not, they didn't specifically require that in the eligibility criteria, but that was characteristic of 2 of the 3 papers. And for head and neck squamous cell carcinoma, I actually think this might be more related to the definition that was used.
Oh.
So if you look at the head and neck cell, head and neck squamous cell carcinoma.
Uh-huh.
These two studies use the TGK-based definition,
Okay.
which tends to overestimate. And there was one study that I contacted the authors for, but I didn't get an answer from, where they used a different definition and the percentage was far lower. It was around 10%. And so I think this is one of the limitations of using the TGK definition. And a trend that you notice when you categorize it by tumor subtype is that labs tend to follow a previous publication. And so let's say there's a group that wants to study head and neck squamous cell carcinoma. They follow the paper that used the same subtype and the same definition. So they all end up using the same definition. Does that make sense? So Sada Bouzid et al. Was the first group to present a definition on TGK. And most of the groups that followed used the same definition if they were studying head and neck squamous cell carcinoma.
I see.
So there's a trend with that. So I think I'm going to include in this discussion that there's a caveat in interpreting the results, and that, people tend to follow previous papers and end up using the same definition, and TGK tends to overestimate. So that's the part for head and neck squamous cell carcinoma.
Okay. Before you go to next, for gastric, if any of those three papers mentioned the percentage of MSI high, if they did, you should mention that in the result as well.
Yep, I plan to. I think it was around more than 80% for two of the papers.
Right. So, and then also cite the real world, Sears, whatever data you have from general population in all like gastric cancer diagnosed, usually it's like 20% MSI high. So cite that number and discuss all those MSI high frequency in those three papers and say this is the likely main driving factor for higher HPD incidence. So just giving a real good evidence is always good practice.
Okay, I'll do that. So the studies that basically had a significantly higher incidence were advanced gastric carcinoma, hepatocellular carcinoma, head and neck squamous cell carcinoma, not melanoma, and non-small cell lung cancer. And another interpretation for advanced gastric cancer and head and neck squamous cell cancer is that there's a paper on basically which tumor types are more immune inflamed. And this is something that I discussed previously when I shared the draft with you. And these tend to be more inflamed than others. So it might not be just the result of the type of definition used. And I'll discuss that.
Okay.
So moving on, after the definitions were recategorized, there weren't any, you can see that there's a wide heterogeneity, even if it's the same definition. And that's basically due to the type of tumor that was studied. And then last time when I attended lab meeting, we talked about redrawing the graph.
Yes.
So this is what it is. The JPEG version of it doesn't show the overlap, so I'll pull up my email.
So yeah, explain to me why XY axis.
So it's basically similar to the graph that we saw last time by Ferrara et al. This represents the change in the tumor size prior to starting immunotherapy. And this represents the change in the tumor size after beginning immunotherapy.
Okay.
And at the time, they basically mislabeled the y-axis.
Uh-huh.
So I relabeled it correctly, starting at 100%.
Okay.
But one thing that I think this group missed, or they didn't discuss in their paper, there are two things to point out. One is that they used this dashed line. For example, this is the definition by Champiat et al., where they require resist-defined progressive disease. And they labeled this dashed line at 20 because resist-defined progression means a 20% increase in the tumor size. But what they missed was that progression is also defined if there are new lesions. So these dashed lines are not necessary. You need to continue the line. And likewise for D, it should go down. It should be extrapolated to the 0 point. And the reason why that's important is that this area here makes it provides an interesting discrepancy in the results that we see. So the group that proposed this, or the group that presented that paper that I just showed, didn't mention, because they used the dashed lines, they missed this portion here. And this portion is the area where one of the definitions now underestimates hyperprogressive disease compared to the other. And what I don't know how to explain it clearly, but okay, let's think of, let's pretend that there's a line here, because that's the cutoff that was previously used. And in that case, this definition basically underestimates hyperprogressive disease compared to these two other definitions.
So I have a suggestion, and it's nothing to do with your presentation. I'm on Blue Service and I have to go around very soon. And I want to give you comments on this. So maybe tomorrow, tomorrow at same time, I'll try to start 7 or 7:30. I'll do just additional lab meeting follow up for those ones who could not present today, including Minjung. Maybe for each, for for us to refresh our memory, prepare a slide with equations for each definition. And then we'll go over this graph together and how you drew it. Because I think this graph is good to be included in our manuscript. So yeah, I just don't have time because I gotta go and round. So let's do that. Let's plan for another Chicago time 7 a.m. tomorrow. And we'll talk about the projects that hasn't discussed from today's meeting. How about that, Minjung? Do you have time tomorrow? Okay.
I'm sorry for always taking up so much time. And tomorrow I'll go last because I feel like everybody always has to wait. So I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. But yeah, glad you're done with updating the project. And World Lung.
Oops, sorry.
So who's that? So
Sorry, sound was gone for a second.
Yeah, Minjung, you could still, I mean, you're working remotely as my lab member. So Grace, why don't you tell Minjung to apply for that the trainee award or something? Just Grace, you can send her mess. So when you submit Minjung, you should submit as a trainee.
Yeah, it's just the application is due tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah, so Grace, tell her to draft and I'll sign it today so that she could upload.
Okay.
So just tell Minjung what you've done and so I want all my trainees to apply for those grants and they usually pay for, you know, the hotel and flight and, you know, it's like a travel award. So yeah, we don't have much time. So work on that today. I'll sign whatever you. So send it to me to my Gmail so that I don't miss. Okay, so let's do that. Let's wrap up here, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.